and we, along with WellSet, promote practitioners, healers, thought leaders in the space, and help their wisdom and gifts reach the mainstream, reach people. And we are here with Jena la Flamme, who is somebody I love, who I know personally from San Francisco. Valentine's Day, we did a couples relationship class that Holistic Healer Collective hosted, and there was a bunch of different activities that drew intimacy to us and our own, relationships and with our significant others in the room. There was about, 15 couples. She really knows her stuff. She's, I thought, what a good idea for us all to get together. And, since we're all stuck in a house, many of us with our significant other, I think these times are bringing up a lot of anxiety, and stress, and hope. It's my personal philosophy that this is being brought up to heal, and we work through our relationships and through our childhoods via relationships. So I think if we can shift perspective, even though it can be really tough, use these times to heal like our own individual deep wounds through our relationships. So with Corona and everything, this is the perfect time to do so. Thought that it would be great to have Jena on, and we're so happy to have her. She's going to start with a bio and then teach us what she knows. Thanks.
So, Talia, thank you very much. Oh, you'd like me to introduce my own bio? Okay.
Yeah, where you're from, how you got to this point, why you love doing what you do, and anything else, and then go into your stuff.
All right. Well, how I became a healer was as a result of being abused and going on my own journey of sexual healing. I was violated as a teenager and suppressed it for many years. And then through yoga and meditation, it all came to the surface again. And I healed myself. And then in that process realized, hey, I'm a healer. This is what I want to do with my life. At that time, I'd been studying to be an environmental engineer, environmental scientist, which is definitely a form of healing also. I left and went to India, studied yoga and meditation, Ayurveda, music, dance for a few years, then moved to New York, and there I studied holistic health coaching. For years, I had a wellness center called the Jena Wellness Center. That morphed into specializing in what I call pleasurable weight loss. So how to lose weight in a pleasurable way. And then that has morphed into love, sex, and relationship coaching and teaching. So now I'm a sexual empowerment teacher. I am very motivated to help women and men liberate themselves from sexual shame and from the traumas and the blocks that separate us from each other and prevent us from having divine intimacy prevailing in our everyday. So if you're with a partner, this class is oriented to partners, and I'm going to be doing other classes for singles, and both are facing different challenges right now in these moments. And there's a major growth opportunity here in this forced isolation that we find ourselves in. So I just want to say hello to those on Instagram Live. You've got me on one side and we've got Zoom on the front. And I want to give you as much as I can today. So other people have come on: Mary, Megan, Melissa, hello, Lisa. Really glad you're here. And we're going to be allowing time for questions at the end. Where are you all from? If you'd like to type in the chat, we love this to be interactive, not just a monologue. So if you'd let us know where you're chiming in from. I'm also in Marin, Northern California, neighbor of Talia. So yeah, I mean, why I do this, I really think love is the most important thing. Community, and the community starts with, our beloved, and then goes out in the circle from there. So there's, world peace, the transformation that we wish for the planet, prosperity for all. Um, it starts with our inner peace. So now we're in a dojo for that. So, okay, Miriam is from Oakland. Welcome, Miriam. Local. All right. So, to get into it, our topic today is healthy communication with your partner while you're stuck at home. So, I'm assuming that everyone on here um, is with a partner, and maybe there are some tensions rising, and it's be completely natural to have some breakdowns in this time. um, I am sadly recently divorced, so I don't have my my partner's stories to share with you, but I have my professional experience and what I've been observing and hearing with my friends and clients and the world. So I'm going to take it from there and bring my skills as a relationship coach to offer you. So first thing I want to start by saying, and this is coming from a single person, is that to no matter what, no matter how tense it is, no matter how um, your partner may be getting under your skin, or you may feel frustrated or disappointed, be grateful. You are lucky to have a partner. Love is the most wonderful thing, and they say married people live longer and are healthier, and it's that love field that you can create, that you can generate, that you can bask in, that is good for your health, it's good for your mental health, good for your immune system. And you are so, so lucky. So I'd like you to just take a moment right now to hold yourself, give yourself a little hug and squeeze, and just tell yourself, I am so lucky to be with so and so, whoever that is. Just saying, so and so, I'm grateful. Thank you for being my partner, especially now. I'm really, really grateful. Even if I act ungrateful sometimes, even if I forget my blessings, I really am grateful. So just letting that gratitude well up. And that would be a great thing to express as often as you can. And from that place of really feeling it. And there's a whole lot of science that generating the feeling of gratitude is incredible for the brain, for our consciousness. It's the best prayer. So on. So gratitude. All right. So look, I'd love to hear. Um, okay, Megan saying I'll definitely join for the single workshop. I'd love to hear in the chat here any particular situations that are arising, so we can make this more and more personalized and relevant. But I want to start by saying that the sort of classic dynamic in life for any of us is uh, that we can be the victim or the perpetrator, or we can be accountable in any situation. So by accountable, I mean, and nothing to do with accounting, but rather from a storytelling perspective, that we see ourselves as the author of the story. We're the main character and the author simultaneously. So as the victim, women especially are prone to go into the victim role. It's something I've had to work on a lot. I'm still transcending in my own growth. The victim is, this is happening to me, and the poor me, and I'm, you're the bad guy, and I'm the good, you know disempowered one. And it's so painful and frustrating to be in the victim role. It's not good for mental health. It's not good for our motivation, our self-esteem. It just brings a terrible mood. It's really poisonous. To be in the victim it's toxic. And at the end of the day, you, the victim, the one who is in the victim role, really deeply suffers from that. So the perpetrator is the bad guy, or the bad girl, and the one who, oppresses the victim. So just want you to look at your relationship right away and see if you can see if you have any of that dynamic. The one perpetrator, one is the victim. Maybe it flips. Um, Maybe you have it financially. One is the victim and one is the perpetrator, or in the sexually or emotionally, or with the kids. And basically, how you crawl out of that is the victim turns to the perpetrator and says, "Thank you for showing me where I didn't have boundaries. Thank you for showing me where I didn't have boundaries." So there's actually not saying screw you for not, for my lack of boundaries, but thank you for showing me, for educating me, making me realize where I am acting like a doormat. And here's the thing with this pattern of being stuck at home right now, if you are letting yourself be treated like a doormat, then it's coming to the surface. And my roommate said to me, "Oh, there's going to be a lot of divorces after this." And I thought, that's interesting. Um, that could be true. And I heard someone else say there's going to be a lot of babies in 9 months. It also can be true. um, and could there be also, a lot of absolutely reinvented, um, deeply intimate, bonded, rock solid um, relationships? Because it is true when things are chaotic. Basically, we have one of two reactions, and this is relates to attachment theory. Is when things are scary, dangerous, when there's a threat, some people will say, okay, every man for themselves, everyone for themselves, and feel that they have a better chance of survival by isolating, by being alone, just looking out for their own needs. Others would feel that they have a better chance of survival by bonding and by attaching. And so you may have some of these dynamics going on in your relationship where maybe one feels more inclined to pull away under stress and one to bond. So these are great things to be able to discuss. And I would definitely recommend, as we get into the more practical things beyond the theory, um, you know, talking about these things. But let me pause for a second. Talia, do you have any comment you want to make so far?
No.
Okay. All right. So quarantine intimacy. Quarantine-timacy. How cute is that? Quarantine with your partner done well. So how how can it be done? How can it be done well? Hmm. I mean, there's different scenarios right now. Some people may have one partner at home, um, taking care of the homeschooling, and working from home. Um, One could be, both could be working from home. One could be out of the home, coming and going. Um, you know, there's a few different dynamics, but I'm just going to imagine like you're both at home. Um, for the sake of a sort of an example couple for this imaginary coaching. Um, so here are my thoughts: is to really hold in the background this frame of victim, perpetrator, and accountable. Accountable says, I'm creating my reality. Now, the thing is, we all feel victimized here because there's this war, there's this virus, and there's these precautions we have to take that wouldn't be our choice. Feels like it's taking away our freedom, but actually it's protecting our lives. So it's definitely, we can be vulnerable to fall into that victim persona, the victim mentality, when we feel victimized from the outside. So, the piece about thank you for showing me where I don't have boundaries. I think that is important to do your own self reflection and discover where, what are the boundaries that you need respected right now. Alone time can become a very precious commodity in this time. I know a friend was telling me he actually wanted to go for a walk and a few times a day to get some fresh air. And his partner would say, "Can I come? Can I come with you?" And he would say, "Actually, yes, for sometimes, but no, I also want to walk alone." So just knowing that it's okay to say, "Yes, I'm a sovereign being. I need that space," and to encourage the other person to not feel rejected, and then to offer it to them too. How would you like your alone time? I mean, having a meditation practice is an absolutely wonderful thing for any point in life, and especially in a crisis. And that is a time when you need your boundaries to be respected, a safe container to be held where you can close your eyes and breathe and find this infinite space within you that restores you, that fills you up and replenishes your patience and your stamina for dealing with the world and its imperfection. So that can be a wonderful thing, now if you don't have a meditation practice to say, hey, even in this chaos, I need to start to meditate. And there's so many free meditations being offered these days. Just do a little searching and you'll find something. That's one of the wonders of this time of this era right now is how much is being offered, how much is being gifted, including this class for education. So we have a comment here. For example, my partner and I both work. We have kids. We are working virtually and rarely leave the house. It's hard to do it all at once with little space to run off to meet friends face to face or go to therapy in person. Sure. Compounded with the fact that I'm on a computer way more, I feel like a robot. My challenge is seeing my partner as brand new every day and not getting annoyed. All right. Um, yes, we're going to get into some partner practices in a minute. But yeah, I'd love to hear your specific scenarios there. Okay. So let's say it's the end of the workday, and the workday really does have to have an end. If you're working from home, there can be that chance that work can just like spread out. You have after dinner and all night and just goes and goes. And anyone who works from home normally or self-employed entrepreneur knows that trap of having work just take over. So very important to have an end to the day. And then I wanted to suggest some wonderful practices. Um, so my favorite one for couples is called Loves, Fears, and Desires. I'm just going to pull up my notes on this here. So basically, this is a core exercise. You could do this every day or every other day or every week of your life as a couple. And I think you would still find it juicy and empowering, and not only in a crisis, but certainly very powerful now. So you have a timer and you're going to do anywhere between 1.5 to 3 minutes per question per person. And there's 3 questions. So that's going to be between, let's say, 10 to 20 minutes total exercise. That's not long. Anyone can take 10 minutes to do this, no matter how busy you are. So one partner is going to ask over and over and the question and listen to their partner's response until they come to a natural pause, and then repeat the question, and then switch roles. So the 3 questions are, and you can write these down: what do you really want? Or it can be, what do you really desire? What are you afraid of? And what do you love about me? So Talia experienced this in our live workshop. So what do you really want? Your partner tells you, say thank you. What do you really want? Thank you. over and over. What do you really desire? Until your 1.5 to 3 minutes are up. And then what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And then what do you love about me? And it's so useful. You know, the what are you afraid of? Like there's so many fears alive right now. And it can be a lot if it's you're just purging your fear. Oh my God, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that, and da, 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 da. And but if you have a container where you know that you get um to say it, because if you say, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, and you're just letting it out, your partner can feel like they have to be the solution. Oh, don't be afraid of that, or it's going to be okay, or oh, I'm afraid too, or here let's try to fix it, instead of just allowing your feelings to be. And that's one of the important things here is what we call space holding and making it intentional. So usually in relationships, so the classic structure is that a woman does what's called emotional labor more than a man. Not always. That's just a cliche. It can vary. Um, and either way, right now, maybe the woman is freaking out more, and there's the emotional labor on the man, and he's not prepared for it. So here, these processes that I want to share with you are sort of containers for that emotional labor, like having a beginning and an end. So it doesn't stretch into all day, every day. And I have been so guilty of like binge watching news like never before in my life. And I'm like, Jenna, like get it under control. This is not good for your body, your heart, your brain at all. Um, and just noticing like conversations with friends, we are talking, it's like, what else is there to talk about? It's like so dominating. So it'd be great in this also, what do you really want? That you can talk about things other than, this crisis. What do you really love about me is taking you into territory other than this crisis. So these are really, really simple, powerful exercise. Some key things to not interrupt, to not change the question, to not start a conversation. And if you feel triggered, to breathe, keep listening, and keep asking the question. And avoid this derailing into a fight by creating a safe space and not attacking. Don't get hurt in your story or your interpretation. And it can be helpful, like I said, to say thank you and then repeat the question again. So there's something really deep and profound about this. Talia, do you want to share about your experience when you tried this with me?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it's like an everlasting gobstopper. So when you ask, what do you really want? You ask it over and over again, and they say, well, I want to be seen by you. And then you say, okay, well, what do you really want? And then they go deeper into what that means to be seen by you. And so you keep breaking down the layers, and you're staring into one another's eyes, and you're practicing that the other person's just receiving and practicing that listening. And then you trade spots. I don't know, I think three, you do that for a few minutes each person, but it's really powerful. And you do the same thing with what are you afraid of, and just being able to listen and be vulnerable in that way, allowing the other person to be vulnerable, is also extremely beneficial, because usually we cut the other person off, or as Jenna said, we don't really hear the other person, or we want to fix, instead of, oh, you're afraid that I'm going to leave you if I say what I really feel, and just hearing that and being in that silence, instead of quickly trying to either deny it or change the way they feel. So, and then what you love about me, that's beautiful. That's the ending. It's like the cherry on top. So I think that's great. We have a few comments though. Lib says,
Okay.
in a relationship for 14 years, love of my life. She is in Pennsylvania and I'm in North Carolina. Have not seen one another in 1 month. Missing one another. No fear, just love.
Beautiful. Okay, excellent. So yeah, these are wonderful practices for that. And I really didn't want this class to be all about, like, if you're having a problem with your partner, because this can be just the most gorgeous time to, all so many distractions have dropped away by necessity of just things shutting down.
Yeah.
And we all have more time because so many things ended. Like I said, we can't go to therapy, we can't go here, we can't go there. It's just if we're stuck at home, you've got more time on your hands, clearly. Um, I mean, maybe if the kids are home also, that's not fully true, but um, yeah, there is an incredible opportunity to delve in. And I have been noticing some couples saying online, like, "Oh my God, we're having the best time." Ooh, Facebook Live has just had an issue there. Um,
And so we have another comment from Angelica, and she says, "What about a two-women relationship? It can get over emotional at times like these, at times like these, especially when we have different attachment styles."
mhm. Right. So then, grounding and loving each other. Let me give you another tool, Angelica, that can be nice for that one. So this one is called pause and breathe, and this is regarding a stressful or challenging conversation topic, which could be just about anything right now that's relevant. So so what you do is you set a timer for 10 seconds and you take turns talking. So the first person talks. When they finish talking, you set a timer for 10 seconds and both partners pause and do deep belly breathing. Let's all do a few of those together now. No harm. Letting your diaphragm, your belly fully expand, chest and belly, belly and chest, and feeling that grounding. So with a shallow breath, the emotions can just get really panicky and explosive. And the deep breathing is going to calm you both down. Okay, now partner A speaks. When they finished, again, 10 seconds on the timer. And that's very simple exercise. Pause and breathe. You go back and forth. So the key points are that no one ever speaks before pausing, except for their first sharing. And you're training the nervous system to slow down in a conversation, especially in a heated conversation. And this can create a shift from a sort of attacking, warlike behavior into a relaxed, loving approach to each other. And it's just amazing how it's like it defuses the adrenaline of the moment. And then afterwards, you finish with what you learned and experienced and how to implement this in your relationship. So that's a good one. I have such a huge tool bag here. I wanted to share many. So here's another one, and Talia experienced this one. It's called "In the Arms of My Love." So up until now, we're just talking and looking. So now we're going to get the physical into it, which makes a big difference. And you could even jump straight to this one. So you take turns. One partner will cradle the other. So you decide who will cradle and who will receive. And it can be good to sit on the floor, sort of with the couch behind, or maybe you're sitting on the couch, somewhere where you have back support. Um, my favorite place to do this is in the garden with the tree holding your back, with the little picnic blanket under you, and you sit and you cradle your partner, feeling well supported. And as they're lying in your arms, you're going to place a hand on their belly and heart. So if you want to do a more advanced version of this, the person who's receiving can do some breath work where they breathe in through the mouth and out through the mouth, having this continuous breath. That's more advanced. You can also just lie, breathe naturally, relax. So the cradling partner is going to whisper into their partner's ear, "You are safe. I love you. I accept you completely." So if you're taking notes, you could write this down. "You're safe. I love you. I accept you completely." Pardon me. And then you pause they're holding you, they're feeling that, you are safe, I love you, I accept you completely. Like, ah, yes. I mean, right now to hear you are safe is just so important for the nervous system because there's such a feeling of unsafety. You may feel legitimately unsafe, for your health, for the economy, two big ones, just separation, fear for loved ones. So you are safe. You are safe. You are safe. I mean, that's a really good one also to internalize yourself, to offer yourself, I'm safe, I'm safe, to be able to then offer it to your partner. But here, talking about partner practices, you are safe. I love you. I love you. I'm not just saying the words, "Ah, I love you." Like, I love you. Like, putting that resonance in your voice and they feel the transmission. I love you and I accept you completely. Ah, what a relief. And then you add any compliments, any affirmations, anything you love about your partner. Darling, I'm so happy I'm stuck with you in quarantine. There's no one else I'd rather be stuck with. I'm so grateful. I love it when you do this. Your hair is so beautiful. Your eyes are so timeless and deep. And when you sing, when you're in the shower, it just makes me smile. And so grateful for the having a walk and holding your hand and hugs. And I affirm your your growth. Now I love how you're picking up your violin and you're playing and you're picking up that drum and you're reading more. And I affirm everything you're doing for your self-care. You're meditating. Well done. And then let yourself come into silence for a few minutes and then periodically repeat, whispering these things. So you're safe. I love you. I accept you completely. And then any compliments, affirmations, or gratitudes. And then you complete that. Thank each other. It's important. Thank you. Thank you. And take some time to share with each other. How was this? How was this for you? How was it to be holding? How was it to be held? And then you switch. So if you could take this on as a daily practice, for let's say the next 5 days, to spend 10 minutes or so in each direction, offering this, I think that would be huge in terms of grounding and Angelica, um, for being over emotional. Like the emotions are not just random, pointless things. The emotions are messengers, and the messengers want to be heard and really, really heard and held. And I think having that polarity of one is holding and one is receiving can allow the emotions to like fully be felt, because there's nothing worse than sort of a half felt emotion. It just like gets stuck in a cycle and it's just it's horrible. But emotion that gets to be seen and witnessed and go all the way through the arc and complete, ah that's when an emotion has done its job and is a really sacred messenger. Okay, Mary's saying she has to join work, but she's going to get the second half on Instagram. Great. What tips do you suggest to build and nourish a relationship with someone new during the times of quarantine? Oh my gosh. We met 2 weeks before things got crazy and have been on 3 dates. I really like him, and I worry that we don't have enough foundation to get through this quarantine, depending on how long it lasts. Well, I need a little more information there, Shannon. Are you actually able to see each other, or are you quarantined separately? Let me see what she says and I'll come back. Good. Angelica says, thank you. Lib is saying we're not physically together. I get that. If you're in different states, missing that physical touch. I mean, maybe you can fly to each other and make it work.
Shannon says separately.
You're separate. Yeah. Gosh. Well,
It might be exciting, like the oxytocin flow if you can't see each other and like you have to get to know each other, sort of like old school through video and you can't touch each other. I don't know. What do you think?
that's a really good point, Talia. I like what you're saying, old school, that courtship. I mean, I'm a romantic. I'm a true romantic. So I love the idea of sending letters to each other, like writing old school letters. We just need to go to the post office once and get some stamps. And if you can walk to a post box, that could be a lovely romantic thing to do. Um, I'll share my own. I've met someone um, that we haven't even met yet. So I can very much relate with this question. We haven't even had one date, but we've spoken on. So yeah, I was joking about it being a novel, like dating in the time of the pandemic. Um, it's pretty unknown. I mean, I would say to release the worry that you don't have enough of a foundation to get through this quarantine. I mean, you're creating the foundation. Um, you're certainly both isolated, and it can be a wonderful time to lean in and get creative. Maybe you can meditate together. Maybe you can, pardon me, read each other poetry through the computer. Um, uh, Short stories. Um, share music together. I would just say keep the faith that if it's meant to be, then this will be no obstacle, and you will definitely make it through. Love in the Time of Cholera. Exactly. That's a book, isn't it? Corona time now. Okay, I want to be that next novel. Okay. So one more practice I wanted to give you, and then we'll start to wind down, and we'll keep the questions coming. Um, so first of all, I want to say that in my work, I help couples thrive sexually in a way that nourishes their whole body, soul, life, just their health, their stamina, their vitality, their mental health. Um, and that begins with communication. So we had, the loves, fears, and desires is communication. Pause and breathe is communication exercise. Then in the arms of my love is a connection exercise, connection practice. And then we get into sort of intimacy and sexual intimacy practices. So we're not getting into that today, but maybe that'll be next week or the week after. And that's certainly available for anyone who wants to work with me. And when I work with couples, I do it remotely. So I'm sort of guiding them in the privacy of their home in a discreet way with practices that they can implement in their private life. So that's, again, in this era of online education, it's very suited to sexual education because of the sort of privacy that you can have through screen. Okay, so the final practice I want to share is called the five senses ritual. Now, this is one of the classic tantric practices, and I haven't spoken about tantra yet. Tantra, we think of sort of has a cliche of being, oh, it's all about sex. And so not the case. Tantra is a deep spiritual philosophy. It's a philosophy of life. And it is as much about holding space for each other's emotions and really understanding the light and the shadow as it is, you know, taking each other to bed sexually. So this is just one dimension. I mean, there's so many dimensions. Also, yes, sexuality is part of it. Sexuality is not rejected or excluded from spirituality in the tantric approach, thankfully. And we see that the man is the god and the woman is the goddess, and they're two sides of this divine union, divine feminine, divine masculine, coming together to unite. Or in the case of two women together, each within each of us is the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So it's not about a gender polarity, but just an energetic polarity and an energetic wholeness that we can experience. Okay, so the five senses ritual, five senses awakening ritual. What you need for this is a blindfold. And that's where you're going to take out the sense of sight. So by removing the sense of sight, you enhance all the other senses. And it's well known, for example, blind people make wonderful massage therapists because they're just so sensitive to the touch. So you're going to smell more, taste more, feel more, everything with your blindfold on. Also, each scent sort of relates to different function, of the brain, and the eyes, the sight relates to thinking. So yeah, thinking. So usually we say, oh, I see something and I label it. Oh, that she's wearing a pink dress. Okay, pink. Woman, gold background. Think, think, think. When we take out the sight, we're less prone to go into the mind and thinking and more into feeling, which is where the magic is. So you prepare some a buffet of stimulus, and it can be really nice if one person sort of arranges this and offers it to the other one as the first round, and then they exchange. So for smell is a good sense to start with. So that would be essential oils. Um, you know, even if you have 5 different ones, it's a wonderful thing to have on hand for your immune system now. Lavender, eucalyptus, geranium. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I've got like at least 20 in my collection, maybe more. Jasmine, ylang ylang, summer sweet, and Palo Santo, vetiver. You can have all different sort of high and low tones, vanilla. And so, okay, prepare those. You could also have incense or sage, something that you burn, something aromatic. You could have fresh flowers that have a scent to them, fresh herbs. Then you have taste. So taste, actually, I would say sound. Let's do sound next. So sound is going to be having a bell, having a singing bowl, having a rattle. It could be putting on a specific track of music. Also can be using your own voice singing, a drum, um, anything that you have, like a sound healing, little chimes, or maybe have a little xylophone, something that has a resonant sound. And then your voice, you can whisper in their ear, I love you. You're adorable to me. I'm here with you. Okay, so that's your arsenal of sound things. Then taste. So I really love this one. So having strawberries or also a little piece of lemon can be nice for some contrast. Chocolate, classic. You mostly want like nice tasting things. Like I wouldn't put salami in there. I love salami, but I wouldn't go there. You could put a little bit of salt. I would say mostly, chocolate mousse would be a great item. You may have limited things at home, but fruits, maybe something avocado, something where you put a very bite size um, on a plate where they could just pop it in their mouth. Blueberries are great. And okay, taste. And then finally touch. So anything, if you have silk pillowcase or a silk clothing, or maybe you have a jacket with like a fur lining or a faux fur edging. This you could actually use the flowers here, like stroking the rose petals on them. Um, Anything that's a tactile sensation. It could be maybe a bowl of wool. That's the threads of some wool. And so there's your 4. Oh, and then of course your hands touching lightly, touching more firmly. So you set them up. You say, okay, I'm going to take you on a sensory awakening journey, 5 elements, 5 senses reality here. And they're in a comfortable spot. You blindfold them, release your mind, come into your senses, and then go slowly through the four senses. The essential oils, the smells, the sounds, the tastes, and the touch, and a little pause in between. Take your time, like have it be like love making, like you're really attentive and just offering them with such joy and satisfaction and letting them surrender. And Oh my gosh, what a blessing at the end of the day of worrying and doing and surviving, just to sit back and be vulnerable and have your senses awakened. And then at the end, you say, now I'm going to awaken your sense of sight and return. I invite you to return with soft eyes, eyes of love, eyes of appreciation, eyes of compassion. You take it off. Look around. Here is the one that loves you more than any other. Let them look around. Oh, and then kiss and hug and then switch. Second person, they could um, mix up sometimes. Instead of doing it in the order, they could have it be a little more random or surprising, or do it in the same order again. And that's beautiful, and hopefully will be an invitation into lovemaking. And there we have it. It's we've got two communication practices here: love, spheres, desires, pause and breathe, and then in the arms of my love, and the five senses awakening ritual.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, we have another course coming up, unfortunately, in a few minutes, but we will send the recording to everyone in this group along with Jena's information. And yeah, we'd love to, we're going to do more. We're going to do some work on like sexual empowerment and sexual enhancement for you and your loved one, as well as for single people too. So we'll see you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Talia. Thanks, everyone.